Hello, everyone. I am accompanied by my friend Terreni Lewis, and she's going to talk with me about my paper that I wrote, and my topic being that single-sex schools may not be the be-all end-all safe solution for students. And when I say that, I mean, do our single-sex schools putting on um, expectations that don't really apply to their students. And I say this because um, when you have a single sex school, you should uh, admit anyone that adheres to that sex, right? But like Title IX makes sure that you cannot discriminate, but non-vocational schools do not apply to uh, Title IX. And there have been a number of cases where schools have been not necessarily single-sex schools, but schools have been like discriminating their children based on their gender identity, I believe. Uh, and I talked about in our social climate, we're learning to differentiate between gender identity, sexual identity, and the assigned sex. Assigned sex is what you are at birth, what they say you are. Your gender identity is how you feel as a person, right? About how, what category you fit in, really. And your sexual identity is really your sexual preference. In schools, they have a hard time really dealing with gender identity because it's not something that can be like really. It's not as obvious really with gender identity.
Yeah.
Like
Plus, parents.
Yeah.
Parents don't like to admit that their child isn't what society says that their child should be. So schools want to cause the least amount of problems as possible, even if it misidentifies and offends their students, because parents can be such a big problem for school boards.
Yeah, true. Really, but it should be where a situation where the students are placed at the forefront. Really, I mean, you can't do anything without the students being there. They're the reason schools exist, really. And in an article I found, I think that with single sex schools, that because you're steeped in an environment of only people that adhere to that sex, you have expectations to fit within that sex. But that isn't, and that doesn't include people that don't necessarily conform to it, really. And I think that from administration to other students, that people can feel the pressure to sort of conform to what society expects that sex to behave and act like, really.
Yeah.
Like, you can be a masculine woman, but you're going to a single-sex school. However you identify, really. But since they're so commonly feminine women in single-sex, in like a all-girl school, for instance, then people that don't necessarily adhere to the feminine category really are just sort of out of luck.
Especially in Emory and Gill.
That's a school in Dallas, all-girl school in Dallas.
Every student was required to wear the plaid skirt, the knee-high socks, and like a either blazer or vest every day. No exceptions.
Yeah.
The only exception was maybe if it was freezing outside, then they'd be able to wear, I think, pants. But other than that, no, everybody had to wear the skirt, no matter like what you identify it as,
Mm-hmm.
or anything like that. And it was the same for Barack Obama. They had to wear the suits, like a
Yeah.
full like three-piece suit or whatever, every day. And the only exception was if it was extremely hot, then I think they could take off the jacket, maybe. Uh, they don't care what you identify as, or if you're not comfortable wearing that uniform.
Mm-hmm.
It's like policy, and you have to do it.
Yeah. Uh, when I was entering, when I was graduating fifth grade, going into middle school, I remember my mom really wanted me to go into Barack Obama, the Male Leadership Academy in Dallas.
My mom wanted me in Ermoringo. I wasn't having it.
Mm-hmm. I didn't really like the idea of just being forced and pushed into what they expected. Expected me to dress as. I have no, you can't really dodge dress codes as a kid, but being forced into like suits in such a restrictive environment just wasn't very comfortable for me.
Hmm. My friends that
Mm-hmm.
went to both Barack Obama and Ermoringo, neither of them liked it. And from what I can remember,
Mm-hmm.
what they told me was, I don't think that the Ermoringo had many sports teams.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it was mainly academic, and that was what Ermoringo's like big thing was academics. They were like the top school for a very long time, if they're
Yeah.
still not the top school. And I know they had to do events together. Ermoringo and Barack Obama, they'd
Mm-hmm.
go to prom together. They'd have any kind of dances that they had. You'd do it with the students from the other school, because it's an all girls or an all boys school. You have to like find somebody to go with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I also want to talk about how it applies to like a TWU setting, really. TW is pretty inclusive. It is ranks pretty high in diversity settings, diversity rankings, excuse me. Um, but the ratio girls to guys is vastly outnumbered.
Hmm.
Um, there aren't really much expectations here since we are college. We have a lot more freedom than elementary and middle schools do.
Hmm.
But there's, do you feel like there's any expectations for you being here?
Mm, I don't think so. I think it's really lax here. I do agree that we are pretty diverse, and we're becoming very accepting, especially with the annual drag show that we've been putting on for the past like 3 or 4 years, which a lot of other places wouldn't do something like that because of how like controversial that subject is.
Yeah.
But as a female, I don't feel like I have to pick something to do.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of, like you said, the ratio between men and women are like is vastly majority women,
Yeah.
of course. And there's still people that think that the school is an all women's college.
Yes.
But it is, it's good to see, as an RA, it's good to see how many male students we have that are actually nursing majors, because there's that like stigma that nursing is only for women.
Yeah.
And I think that it's really good that we have so many males here that are nursing majors, and so many females here that are STEM majors, because they say that STEM is for men and nursing is for women. And I think TW is really breaking those stigmas a little bit, by kind of changing that dynamic with the ratio of men to women that we have here.
Yes, I agree with you, really. I want to say, as a guy going here, there aren't there isn't that much expected of me. Just don't be terrible, really, which is pretty good. Just don't do anything that's not out of hand, which is, yeah, it makes sense. Um, I talked in the paper I wrote about the gender roles are still around because of insistence on what other people should be. Um, do you think that single sex schools are a good alternative to just regular public schooling, where there's a mixed co-ed of men and women, boys and girls rather, than in comparison to single sex schools with just boys and girls?
I think kids need to have those interactions with the other sex. I think that, yes, it's good to be around your sex, but I think that when, at a certain point in time, like Gale and Barack Obama are middle and high school. Is a high school school. So it's from 6th grade to 12th grade. And some people stay there that entire duration of time. And when they leave that single sex school, they're kind of awkward, I guess, or just inexperienced with interacting with the opposite sex. And I think that that can really detriment a person's life, because you
should have those experiences.
You should have those experiences. Yeah, you should be interacting with men and women, especially because you don't know, maybe later you'll have a boss that's the opposite sex. You'll almost definitely have coworkers that are the opposite sex, and meet many other people of the opposite sex. And I think that same-sex schools kind of take away that experience that kids need to have. To where, especially public schools also will show you a lot of different cultures, a lot of different personalities, and allow you to just be a more well-rounded person in regards to like social cues and meeting people and things like that, because there are many different types of people in public schools. I meet in my high school and middle school was the first time that I met like homosexual people, first time that I met transgender people, and I feel like that type of experience was really good to have at a younger age, so that you can normalize it in your mind.
Yeah. You say that people, when they're pushed back into like the normal societal experiences, that they're a bit awkward. In my research for writing my paper, I found out that students that go to single-sex schools are more gender salient, like more aware of the opposite sex than people that attend co-ed schools, really. And I think that's really interesting, where you're steeped so much in people that are just like you, or at least they seem to be, that when you're mixed in with others, that it's just, this is something different. This is a new experience for me. And I think you're right, it is something that they should push for, where you get those early experiences and become more at ease with what you're likely to encounter later in life. Well, I think that's everything. Thank you for speaking with me.
No problem.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.